Thorny, as we venture into the R&R, two truths are consistent. We love our dear Montana State, and we love great beer. And you know who else feels the same? Jeremiah Johnson Brewing. Brewed in the heart of Montana in downtown Great Falls, Jeremiah Johnson takes Montana's finest ingredients to craft some of Montana's favorite beers. And now, Jeremiah Johnson's second tap room is open in downtown Coeur d'Alene. Their Citra IPA is probably one of my favorites. But we all know, Thorny, you're not the hop lover I am. You're more of a mountain man Scotch ale.
Well, Foley, I'm certainly not a mountain man, but you are right. I do love their Mountain Man Scotch Ale. But come game day, you and I are both cracking their Golden Bobcat Pale Ale. So when you're looking for a quality craft beer brewed with Montana roots, a relaxing tap room, or just a six-pack to take to your favorite Bobcat tailgate, Jeremiah Johnson delivers. Make your next beer a Jeremiah Johnson, and as always, go Cats. No, I mean, we do what we always do, which is just free ball it. Free ball. All right. Freestyle.
All right, I got it.
Free ball. I am wearing pants and underwear, don't worry. All right, the last thing I said was like, we're talking about Northern Colorado, right? Okay, you gotta come out of that. Free ball.
Okay. All right, Thorny. Let's start off talking about...
Okay. Try it again. What is happening right now? Okay.
Oh man, we got such a long episode to go.
Yeah, we're
all right.
Not right. We haven't even talked about the game yet.
Welcome everybody to the R&R Catcast, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy. All right. Welcome back, Bobcat fans, and thanks for joining us on another episode of the R&R Catcast. My name's Ryan Foley. Across the state from me, joined virtually, is my buddy, Ryan Thornburg. We are part of the Big Sky Podcast Network, the Montana State affiliate of the Big Sky Podcast Network, and we are sponsored by Jeremiah Johnson Brewing, brewing dank beers in Great Falls, Montana.
Man, I forgot all about that already.
With the second tap room over in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Still brewing those dank beers. I love it, man. I'm going to ride that for a while.
You got to work it into an ad. That's definitely got to be the next ad. We got to record a new ad at some point here. People are probably tired of the same one we've been rolling out for like 50 episodes now.
Yeah. Jeremiah Johnson's going to start brewing or putting out stickers, with the word dank on them. I'm going to love it. I'm going to start something. I'm going to start a movement for Jeremiah Johnson.
Bringing the word dank back, making it cool again.
Right on. Hey, thanks for joining us, guys. We always appreciate your listens and interactions on this podcast. It's just getting better as the years go by. More and more people are reaching out to us. We're getting more and more emails, more and more calls, texts. It's just awesome to hear some of your thoughts and some of your feedback as well. We put out recently an episode called the R&R Catcast After Dark. If you didn't catch it, we would encourage you to go back and listen to it. We are trying a quick reaction and instant take episode after the game on Saturday, a quick hitter. It's like a 20-minute episode. Ryan and I are just giving our gut reaction to the game. So if you would like a shorter version or just want some content there's like this content desert, I call it, from like Monday or from Saturday to Monday. There's nothing going on in the Montana State world besides the chatter on the board. So if you're looking for something to plug into, Ryan and I are trying to put out some content for you guys there. So please go check that out.
Yeah, I'm sure like anyone else, that's your desire to talk about the game is the greatest, like right after the game. So we got around to doing it ourselves, and I'm sure other people are in the same mood as us and will enjoy listening to it as well. Check it out.
Yep. Alrighty. Well, on today's episode, we are going to recap the Northern Colorado game that was on Saturday. It was a glorious Saturday. Holy cow. I'm going to talk a little bit about the game day atmosphere here in a moment, but wow, Montana State was just blessed with a beautiful afternoon. So we'll get into that. Pretty standard episode. We're going to talk about the news. We'll talk about the stats, maybe some injuries, and what's going on with that. And then Ryan and I are going to get into the game day breakdown, and then we'll preview the upcoming game that we have this weekend in Bozeman against Cal Poly. Bo Baldwin's coming back to Bozeman, as well as we will have some Golden Coulee questions, a bold prediction. I did write down a bold prediction, Thorny.
You gotta tell me ahead of time. All right, I got a whole episode to think of something. Okay, I got it. Okay.
Then Thorny, if we do have time, and if it's not going too long, I did write down. I'm going to bring back the buy or sell. I do have a couple buy or sell questions.
As long as I don't have to do anything, then I'm fine with these. Do whatever you want, as long as it doesn't require any homework on my side.
Okay, but before we do anything, we do have our Golden Coolies that are filled with beer. Thorny, what's in yours?
The Golden Coulee question is in what's in the Golden Coulee. I'm finishing off the last one, man. My final Dancing Trout from Bayern. This is my third time I've had it on the show. I decided what better way to celebrate kind of the last two really just not very good games on the Bobcat schedule. I'm hoping, I mean, maybe there's one or two more, but Cal Poly and Northern Colorado by finishing off my least favorite beer I've had in my fridge in a while. So here it is, my Dancing Trout, finishing off mercy drink here just to get it out of the fridge. But you know what? It tastes better after I've already had a Michelob Ultra for some reason. You know, most beers taste better after another beer. Things taste better. So, all right, you know, it's done. It's done. What are you drinking over there? Hopefully something more exciting than mine.
I feel like you're so lazy, man. Like I make a concerted effort to at least get something new.
All right. Do you though?
Hey,
do you? How many times have you been drinking Rainier lately?
Well, that's the on deck beer, right? We always have our on deck beers. So yeah, again, sure. I do have that in my Golden Coulee tonight. I actually have a pour from a growler from Perry Street. I got their Oktoberfest, and I've been searching out the Oktoberfest. They make a great one. Yeah, it's delicious. And so my wife and I are, when you tap that growler, when you break the seal on the growler, you only have a limited amount of time. So I know my wife's having a pint up. Yeah, 20 minutes. There you go. Caught me off guard on that one. So Olivia's got a pint upstairs, and I'm helping her out on that.
What a good husband you are. Helping her drink the beer. Woo.
I know, doing my duty. All right. Hey, let's get into some injury stuff, and then we're going to talk about the stats polls. Nothing really new on the injury. I listened to the presser today. The only major news about the injury stuff is, one, Tyrell Thomas is expected to play snaps this coming week. That's good. He's been dressed, I think, the last 2 weeks, but he's been used for only emergency duty, is what Brent Vegan.
Man,
I gotta get that down, man.
Stop
Coach
that.
Vegan. I call him Brett all the time.
I think in our very first episode where we talked about the hiring of him, he's like, is it Brent or Brett? And it was like, since then, it's just been in your head, and now you can't shake it.
No, man. I got the yips when it comes to seeing Coach Vegan's
on
name.
That one. Anyway, continue on your merry way.
Yeah, well, I guess that's it. So expect to see Tyrell Thomas. Apparently, Flores, a medium member, Victor Flores, yeah. He put out a tweet today that said that Troy Anderson, is Troy Anderson injured or not? That was the big question in Bobcat land. Well, according to Mr. Flores, he was just rested in the second half. I couldn't glean anything from the presser, so I'm just going to assume that's correct.
It's hard, man. You don't know what kind of gamesmanship would be involved around Troy Anderson from like Brent Vegan's side. Who knows, man? I hope that's true. I have no reason to believe it's not true, but you just never know with Troy Anderson, man.
He's a myth. He's a legend.
He is absolutely.
All right. Hey, let's get into the FCS stats poll that came out today. Montana State is now a top 10 team in the nation.
Finally.
Thorny,
We did it.
what do you think about that?
We cracked the
Buy or
top
sell?
10. Buy or sell?
Buy or
Yeah.
sell Buy or sell Montana State's a top 10 team in the nation.
I am buying it. And this is something I don't know if we'll talk about now. We'll talk about later. I think we talked a little bit about before we started recording. Are we a top 10? Like, are we that? Have we played anybody? Are we really the team that's deserving of the ranking, that's deserving of any sort of hype? At the moment, I am currently thinking yes. I feel fine about top 10 ranking. How about you?
I'm buying it, man. I don't want to get into that conversation right now because I feel like there's a big talking point into where we're at. But
Sure.
If I'm just doing a quick buy or sell, I'm buying Montana State as a top 10 team. Let's run down a little bit more of the the stats FCS poll. Just for Big Sky teams, Eastern and Montana flip-flopped 4 and 6. So Eastern's now at 4, Montana's 6. Montana State, like I said, is 10. And then I think you have to scroll all the way down to number 19, where Weber State was holding last week. Just a little bit on Weber. We're going to play Weber in 2 weeks. And it's just we just getting jobbed on it because Weber's going into a bye week right now where they're just getting healthy. And then we play Weber on a Friday night, so a shortened week. Man, I just think that's just kind of a, it is what it is, but it's unfortunate for Montana State to get that kind of draw when we're traveling to Ogden to play a really meaningful game on a big scale. So it might be bumped into ESPN2.
Yeah, maybe, hopefully. Man, I guess there's precedent now. I think it went pretty well.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll get into more of that next week. So
you did skip UC Davis at number 7 there.
I did?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh my word! Yeah, UC Davis, number 7. Well, apparently they're doing all right too.
Squeaking out a win over Idaho.
Yeah, Hunter Rodriguez is not playing. He's hurt right now. So around the Big Sky, actually, there's been a lot of hurt quarterbacks. So
there has.
As one of the media members put out there today, it feels like the triage season has started.
Speaking of around the Big Sky, so last week you would have noticed that we started a segment called Around the Big Sky. We went around and gave all the scores from the games. But then I think we decided to change it up and maybe make that part of our Saturday night instant reaction episode. But we still had 2 games going live while we were doing the instant reaction show. So I think we should at least finish the Around the Big Sky from Saturday because 2 games were still going live there.
All right, Thorny, take us into it, man. I don't have it pulled up, so it's on you, brother.
Dang it, I wasn't ready to actually talk about it because I was doing this all on the fly. I'm pretty sure UC Davis beat Idaho 27-20 in a pretty close game in Davis. I think they had to score late there to kind of pull away from the Roaring Vandals there. So I think UC Davis was able to escape with the 27-20 victory. I think the game was tied 20-20 at the time that we were recording, if I remember correctly. So, yeah, pretty exciting win for Davis, but keep them in the top 10.
It was a good showing by Idaho as well. They had been really struggling lately, so good on them. All right, I'm pulling it up right now. This is terrible podcasting.
The game of the week, of course, and neither of us have the score in front of us. I found it. Do you want me to? I found it first. Do you want me to go with it?
Yeah, go, buddy. I got it too.
All right. So yeah, the game that was bumped to ESPN2, the kind of the game of the week between 2 top 10, like 6-4, and now still 6-4, just flip flopped because of the result. Eastern Washington 34 over the Grizz, 28 points there. On a last-second heave by backup quarterback Chris Brown, that was in the hands of the tight end for the Grizz, whose name is escaping me. It was a Grossman. I don't remember who it was, but it was in his hands. He had a pretty good shot at catching it. Fell incomplete there and gave the victory for Eastern Washington. And pretty exciting game, pretty entertaining game, just from like a completely, like, take any bias out of it. Like 2 teams I don't like. Just but watching a Big Sky FCS football game on ESPN2 and on the big stage and an entertaining game with the full production crew was pretty cool.
All right. Thanks, Thorny, on that. And we were not going to riff on the Eastern Grizz game all that much because we're not big fans of the Eastern Eagles or the Grizzlies. And so we're not going to give them too much airtime on our.
Go listen to their respective podcasts, which are fine podcasts, by the way. Grizz Fan Pod and the Eagles Power Hour. Go listen to those.
All right. Hey, so let's get into the Big Sky Power Rankings, Big Sky Podcast Power Rankings. Thorny, why don't you run down your top 5 for me?
So, oh man, so I was actually, this is why I need to write it down, because now I'm looking at it again, like, I don't remember what I did, because I could look at this like a day later and completely change my mind, but pretty sure I had Eastern first. I'm pretty sure I put the Bobcats second, and I don't think too many other people did. I think they had, looks like 3 second place votes. So it was you, me, and some other guy, probably another Bobcat fan. I think I had Davis at 3. No, I think I still had the Grizz at 3. Davis and Weber, I believe. But I honestly, anywhere between 2 and 4, like Davis, Grizz, and Cats, I could still flip them around. But you got to give Eastern number 1 spot after that big win.
Exactly. I put Eastern at 1, MSU at 2, U of M at 3. I still think Weber's going to, if they went up head-to-head with Davis, I still think Weber wins. Although they did play.
Yeah, it's like
Davis did
win.
In
a rematch?
Yeah, I don't know. I still think Weber's a better team and then UC Davis. And so I put UC Davis at 5. And so maybe I'm wrong. Oh, well, but that's what I got.
It looks like it came out Eastern, Montana, Davis, Bobcats, and Weber from the rest of the group there. So that's the top 5. And then really, like, man, 6 through 13 is just throw a dart. I think it's pretty unanimous. Right? I think that Sac State is the 6th ranked team according to the power rankings, but that's not saying a whole lot. And then it's just like whatever after that. It's just whatever. It's real bad in the bottom half of the Big Sky this year.
All right, Thorny, let's talk about UNC. I'm going to mention the score just to get it off my chest. We beat the Fighting McCaffreys 40-7.
That's a double cheer from the studio audience there for the victory, number 1, but also remembering to say the score, something that we're enticing ourselves to do because we forget it half the time. So extra incentive. We thought we'd put in a cheer track to remind us. So yeah, 40-7 victory in Bozeman in a game that felt like it should have been like 60-7. What a weird game. We'll get into that, but Bobcats absolutely dominated this one from mostly start to finish. A few spotty things there in the second quarter, but 22 first downs for the Cats, just 12 for the Bears. The Bears were 2 for 15 on third down, but the Bobcats not a whole lot better at 3 for 12. Total yards, 233 for the Bears, 552 for the Bobcats on a perfect split, 276 to 276 passing to rushing. Penalties again kind of reared up in their ugly head for the Bobcats, but in the end, only 4 penalties, but they're for 50 yards because they're always of the larger yardage variety, whereas, the Bears had 5 penalties, but only 35 yards, so 1 more penalty and 15 less yards assessed. The Cats did lose a fumble turnover there by Willie Patterson, the only turnover of the day, and the Cats kept their 30-game home turnover streak, courtesy of Colton Poole, I believe, put that out on Twitter. 30 games now that the Cats have forced a turnover with 3 interceptions of Dylan McCaffrey. So, and overall, a dominating performance there by the defense and the offense. Why don't you get into the individual stats there? Anything stand out to you there?
I was really impressed with Jaden Smith. He had 4 catches for 75 yards. Lance McCutcheon had 4 catches for 107 yards.
Is that the first time all year that someone has had as many catches as McCutcheon?
Probably, right? Elijah Elliott and Afonso both go over the century mark. Elliott had 107 yards on 11.
Sorry.
107 yards on 11 carries. And Afonso had 20 for 114. Matt McKay, again, he's just a carbon copy of himself every week. I love it. So he was 15 for 23, 276 with his second highest QBR rating, 197, with 2 touchdowns with a completion rate of 65.2. That's pretty much like just if you look at it, all of his games, that's just like the average of all of his games.
Love it.
He's so good. So nothing there to kind of dog on. So yeah, those are the individuals.
I want to talk about the other side. Dylan McCaffrey, 14 for 24 for 99 yards, a touchdown, and 3 interceptions. Not a good game. Not impressed with him, a former 4-star, 5-star, top 15, something or other, like super highly regarded quarterback coming out of high school. Michigan recruit comes into Bozeman and just, looks worse than like the Drake quarterback.
He had the one glove going. I think that probably affected it.
Yes.
If you're a quarterback that wears the one glove, man, no, you got to go either 2 gloves, Teddy 2 gloves, or no gloves.
Okay. That the Ryan Foley theory about quarterbacks, one glove, you're not going to play very well.
No, especially when it's like 75 degrees outside. Jeez Louise. All right. Hey, speaking of 75 degrees outside, I want to spend a little time before we start breaking down the game, talking about the game day atmosphere. Montana State had over 20,000 fans at this game. I'm not 100. This must be like prime hunting season over in Bozeman, right? Or getting close to.
I don't think hunting season is open yet.
Oh, well, see, there you go. I'm going to look like an idiot, or sound like an idiot. However, I just, when I was watching the game on my computer and just seeing this, the packed house, the amount of people that were there, I'm just really impressed. It's either that Montana State's just, it feels like its own momentum is just building on top of itself. And it's felt like that for 20 years probably now, to the point where we're just attracting large crowds. The game day atmosphere is elite. It just looks like so much fun. And golly, did it not just look like the perfect afternoon in Bozeman?
It did. And it looks so good on TV too. Like just the stadium, like maybe it takes a little bit, but like corner to corner, completely full of fans, the cool background there. Like it's just a picturesque thing to look at on TV and just fun to look at from the TV side of things, since we can't be there.
Yo, and they got the cat head on the BAC. Did you see
Sharp,
that?
yeah, it looks good. It looks good up there.
Do you think it lights up? Do you think it glows?
Oh, it has to. That thing glows. Man, it glows.
I hope it does. I hope it does.
I think that's the rumor on the Bobcat board anyway. I'm pretty sure it's going to light up for a night game.
All right. So, yeah, aside from just being a great atmosphere, it feels like Montana State has played the same game like 4 games in a row to me.
I could see that. Yeah. You're playing like overmatched opponents at home. They're all just blurring together, really. They're all kind of the same results, same operation, same kind of beatdowns. So, yeah, it's kind of an interesting way to think about it. I hadn't really thought about that, but it does kind of seem we're trapped in this cycle.
So, Thorny, since Wyoming, we've played, the scores for Montana State have been 45-7, 52-10, 30-17, and 40-7. Over the season, we've outscored our opponents 183 points to 60.
That is the first in the Big Sky. First in the Big Sky. That's the most points differential of any other Big Sky team.
Yeah, if you go into the Big Sky stats and you take a look at where Montana's at, Montana State. Holy cow!
You're fired.
I will say my prayer. I will say my prayers tonight.
Someone get me off the soundboard.
Montana State is ranked number 1 right now in defense and number 2 behind Eastern Washington in offense. Just kind of quietly, because just our opponents haven't been, big time opponents. And so we're taking care of business the way we should, but Montana State's quietly just doing the right things right now.
So piggybacking off the stats, I was actually looking at some of the stats today too, because some of this is starting to really stand out. Like you can't miss it. We're actually outgaining our opponents 2,327 yards to just 1,363, which is actually surprisingly only second in the Big Sky Conference. Eastern is actually doing better there, but like almost 1,000 yards that we've gained more than our opponents. That's crazy. That's crazy. Cal Poly is on the complete opposite side of that, and we'll get to that later. I'm sorry, I shouldn't even say that, but We're actually second in the Big Sky Conference in third down percentage, which is a little surprising after our. It felt like it was a huge struggle against Northern Colorado, but we have a lot of stats that are really starting to stick out, and we're just quietly becoming like a dominating team. And it's kind of weird not having any real hype around the Bobcats for how good they are and how well they're playing and the record we're having. I think a lot of the attention's on Weber, UC Davis, the Grizz, and Eastern, and we're just quietly sitting back here, just blowing the doors off everybody and just waiting our turn to prove ourselves in a big time game. We're talking about
Not much
Colorado,
more to
right?
say about that. All right, Thorny. Hey, let's kick it off. Let's talk about the offense. What are your thoughts?
2 running backs over 100 yards is the first thing that just jumps out to my mind. I love seeing it, man. I love seeing Isaiah Fonze and Elijah Elliott get some carries and have some success. I feel like the offensive line did a really good job opening holes in this game, too. What do you think of the running game?
It's getting better each game, man. We start off first quarter. We scored 17 points in the first quarter. It seemed like we could run at will. We were getting big gains, 8 and 10 yards a carry. It felt like. And so I was really stoked to see that. I really like the balance of Afonso and Elliott. They feel slightly different. Like Afonso is just the dude, right? He's just the dude. He's a guy that squirms through the hole. He's got 3 guys draped on him, but then he just like bounces off because he's so strong, and then he just bursts forward. I love watching Afonso run. But you know what I really like about Elijah Elliott? It feels like he's getting more patient. Like early on, I felt like Elliott was too quick to hit the line, to hit the hole, and he was just missing it. And now I feel like he's seeing the game. Maybe the game's slowing down for him a little bit. But I really like what I'm seeing from Elijah Elliott. He looks like he's having a ton of fun out there. And man, just a compliment of Elliott and Afonso. What a treasure. Like, it's so cool to watch those 2 guys just go at it.
They run so, like, they have such different, like, skill sets, but they have the same, like, mentality. They're both just, like, extremely tough. Like, Elliott runs a lot. They have that same toughness that you see from Afonso. He runs into people. He doesn't shy away from contact. He keeps legs moving, and he falls forward. He's only, I don't know, I don't have the weights up in front of him. He's got to be giving up 20-plus pounds to Afonso, but he still fights like him. I love watching it. And another thing I really liked from the running game too is we did this without like Matt McKay having to do much running from like the RPO type side of things. This was like giving the ball to the running back and letting them do their thing. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I like to see. It wasn't like gimmicky. It was just straight up hand the ball off to running back, beat just blow the defensive line off the line and just find the holes and get into the second level. And that's what I love so much about it. That's what gave me such like optimism for the running game, not getting back on track. They haven't been bad all year, but just like that's kind of more what we're used to seeing and what I've been looking for.
Complement that was our passing game as well, right? The perfect complement, 276 yards to 276 yards.
Balance.
No other receiver had a bigger day. Well, no other receiver had a bigger day than Lance McCutcheon. Lance McCutcheon always has the biggest day. I just want to really give props to Jaden Smith. Jaden Smith has been a guy I've been silently rooting for, but vocally rooting for this whole season. And man, he got on the board. 4 catches for 75 yards, I believe it was his stat line. He had a long of 42 or something in there. Man, did you watch him after that play? He caught the ball and just went down and juked a couple guys, made a couple moves, and then on the sidelines, you just saw him, just the emotion just pouring out of Jaden Smith. He was so hyped.
He was fired up.
I was so stoked for him. So nice job, Jaden. I love watching you play.
Yeah, he has really good balance for how tall he is. You wouldn't think a guy like that could have that kind of balance and be able to like bounce off of tackles like that, but it was really good to see it. I think we both have like known that he's capable of doing it, and I'm glad to see it actually come into fruition in a game, and I hope that he builds on that because we've talked about this on the last episode. We need more than just Lance McCutcheon out there if we're going to really make a run at this thing. So good to see him step up, and good to see Andrew Patterson coming out of nowhere and catch a 44-yard touchdown pass. I didn't even know he's in the game. Like, he hasn't really played very much, I didn't think. I know the coaching staff's been high on him. There's been some like hype coming out of like spring camp of how fast he is, and he's just this talented little freshman. But McKay drops back and looks like he gets like creamed and gets the ball at the last second and over the middle to everyone's going the other direction. It was a very odd looking play, but Patterson catches the ball and just burns for 44 yards. Just goes into like speed mode there. That was impressive. And we got a lot of talent in the receiver room. We just got to find someone who can produce consistently alongside Lance McCutcheon.
I watched that Patterson highlight. It feels like it just gets turned on to like 1.5x.
That's right.
He just burns everybody. I was like, oh my gosh, where is that coming from? Well done, Andrew. Well done. So I'm excited to watch that guy in the future. I'm like, let's get that guy the ball, right?
We did have 8 different receivers catch a ball this game. That's pretty impressive. Like, we've had a few of those games where we've had like 6 or 7 guys catch the ball, and this was the most evenly split. McCutcheon with 4, Smith with 2, Andrew Patterson had the 1. Willie Patterson had 2. He's the only other person that had more than 1, and then everyone else 1. Pickering, Afonso, Elliott, and Snell all had a catch. So I love it. It's more passes to the tight ends, spreading the ball around. You can't really key on one guy. You could key on Lance McCutcheon if you want to. He's probably still going to catch the ball, but now you know that McKay's going to find someone else when he needs to.
Just a parting thought on the offense for me, Ryan. I think you could say that's about the Bobcats in general, but just speaking to the offense, it feels like the Bobcats are getting better each week, like incrementally better each week. And it's just really cool to see because in years past, like in the old regime was just run. We knew what to expect and we would just like lament the pass. Before that, in the Rob Ash era, it was all gas, no brakes. And it was just electric.
For
right?
some of that.
Now I feel like
some of the Ash era.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, but right now I feel like Montana State has just such a good balance between the run and the pass. We're getting more guys involved every week. It seems, man, I just really like where we're heading offensively. I want to give props to Taylor Housewright. We were pretty critical of him last week. And I think he just had a really good game plan. We'll talk about the second quarter here in a little bit because, again, a little bit kind of a head scratcher.
Yeah, we got to get to that.
However, I'm pretty impressed with what I've seen so far.
Yeah, it's really good to see Housewright coming along and, just getting better every game. So when do you want to talk about the second quarter? Do you want to just get it right into that right now?
Yeah, let's do
it. So second quarter definitely had some lulls offensively and defensively. We talked about this on the little instant reaction show we did too. That might have been the worst defensive drive I've seen from 1s, 2s, or 3s, any unit all year from the Bobcats. I'm not entirely sure what happened there. I know Troy Anderson was out of the game at the time. Danny Yu was in. I think there was another backup linebacker, and I think maybe Callahan O'Reilly was out. I don't know why they're subbing guys in at that moment, but Northern Colorado just marched right down the field and scored a pretty easy touchdown. Probably the easiest touchdown drive I've seen against the Bobcats all year. So what did you think of? What do you think about that drive, that score by Northern Colorado, and what do you think happened?
I have no clue. I was yelling at the screen, like I said in the other podcast we did. Maybe I'm seeing it wrong. Maybe I feel like we're just not being aggressive. We're not blitzing. We're not, I don't know. It's just all of a sudden we're just become vanilla, and it's very confusing to me. I don't have the eye for it. I don't see what we're doing defensively. So I just kind of just like, what's going on? Why are we being aggressive right here? And why are we letting them do? Maybe UNC found something that they could exploit. Vegan said something about it today, and we fixed it. And so we made some adjustments. But Ryan, I guess it feels like maybe that's been kind of a trend, right?
Yeah, this was done in a different way, though. We've been kind of doing that soft zone that you and I have been harping on, but I don't know what this one just felt different. We just felt like flat-footed, caught off guard. They ran some like counters to like the weak side, and there was just nobody there for their running backs. Just like he cut over, they sealed the edge, and then he was just out in the open and had an easy 10, 15-yard gain several times. It was a little bit different than we've seen. I don't know. Northern Colorado must have seen something that they could exploit, and obviously we're a good enough team and a coaching staff to seal it up, and one touchdown drive is not going to kill us in the grand scheme of things. But it was an odd drive, and I'm glad to see that we buttoned it up and got the second half under control there.
All right. Hey, let's talk a little bit about the defense. What were some defensive highlights from the game?
Danny Yu. Man, he came in for Trey Anderson, like you said, didn't play the entire second half, I don't think. He got some time in the first half, too, Danny, you did, didn't it? What did he end up with, like 9 tackles? I think. I don't have the stats in front of me here, but I was super impressed with him, and we're going to need him with Nolan Askelson on the shelf, so we need a third linebacker who can come in and produce, and it was really good to see him kind of break out a little bit.
I particularly like our third down package that we move Amandre inside and we put Brody Grebe on the outside. Brody Grebe seems to be having kind of some success there.
Breakout year almost.
Yeah. He's a young guy too, so he's just got years ahead of him. We're gonna just watch him progress. I love seeing that.
I love the interceptions. I loved Zambrano. He probably should have gotten beat on that, but he recovered enough and used his length, which is one of his biggest assets. Obviously, he's 6'1" or whatever he is, so he's good to see him like really make a play. And actually, that was actually a pretty critical time in the game too. So he made a big play at a big time in the game, and that ended up being a 14-point swing. Like if that ball is 1 foot over his head, it's a touchdown for the Bears, and all of a sudden it's 20-14 right before halftime. Instead, he intercepts it and returns it all the way down to their side of the field, and we score a touchdown. So it was a really good play by him, and I don't remember the other interceptions off the top of my head, but just the fact that we got 3 interceptions, I loved seeing that. I love turnovers. Like turnovers are gonna take you to that next level, taking care of the ball and forcing turnovers. You got to have both, and we're doing a great job of that so far, and we did a great job against the Bears.
Okada led the team with 10 tackles. He did have an interception in the fourth quarter. Callahan O'Reilly had an interception in the first quarter. Those were coupled with Zambrano there. Those were our interceptions against McCaffrey. The defense, man, they just been playing fast and furious. They fly to the ball. They have fun. They look like they talk trash. I like that. I don't know if Coach Vegan likes that, but I think he does. I think
they got swag.
When you listen to Coach Vegan, he's just like, we're just going to keep it, play with our pads, let the pads do the talking.
You wonder what he's like, though, behind closed doors. So I think he might be a little bit more open to it than he lets on in the media. It's kind of
he was a player. He knows what goes on between the lines. He knows what goes on.
He knows.
All right. One last thing I want to say about the game is I just want to give props to kicker Blake Glessner. He was 4 for 4. He nailed some really important points for us when Montana State was stalling out on offense. And so kudos to him. A little bit kind of a caveat there. Montana State, I wish they would be a little bit more aggressive a couple times with some of their play calling.
MSU was surprisingly, I think, first in red zone scoring percentage this year. But it felt like they struggled a little bit in this game. Like they got down and they had to kick a few field goals when they should have not had to do that. And I think that's what we kind of talked about. The game felt like it should have been a much bigger point differential than it was because whatever reason we couldn't quite punch it in. Northern Colorado was able to keep the drives and force some field goals. But yeah, kudos to Blake Glessner, man. He has been a revelation this year. He's only missed, I think, 2 kicks and they may have both been blocked. He's been a stud, man. And 4 field goals and 4 PATs, 4 for 4, somehow doesn't get you player of the week in the Big Sky Conference. But, it is what it is. The kicker from Eastern got it for his whopping 2 field goals he made. Glessner's been awesome.
All right. We did have some other takes on this game. And like I said, we did this episode, the R&R After Dark. If you want to go back and listen to those takes, they are fresh and they are
fresh out of the oven.
There you go.
I do have some parting thoughts on Northern Colorado, though.
All right, give them to me. I have none.
It has nothing to do with the schemes or anything like that. Northern Colorado's a dirty team. I had to say it, man. I was not impressed with the way that they played. They were flopping, trying to get some calls. I thought that hit on Willie Patterson on the punt, about the dirtiest play you'll see in football. I want to give the guy the benefit of the doubt and think that he thought that he caught it, but man, he there's no way. He knew what he was doing. He creamed him before the ball got there. The whole thing about Max McCaffrey potentially throwing a clipboard into the stands at a heckler. Man, I was just not impressed. Like, I was not impressed from the get-go on how they presented themselves, how they carried themselves on the field. The very first play of the game, their wide receiver caught that 40-yard pass from McCaffrey, which was like the only play of the day. He was like pointing to his muscle, like, I don't know, just flexing and pointing to his muscle. That whole team just kind of irritated me and rubbed me the wrong way. So if that's how McCaffrey's going to run his show, I'm not impressed. But yeah, I just got to have a final parting thought on that because I was not impressed with their behavior on the field.
You ready to move on?
That's all I have. We can move on. So long fighting McCaffreys, and hopefully one of them's not suspended for throwing a clipboard. Or if he did, he should be suspended. Anyway, Cal Poly.
Yeah, let's do a short preview on Cal Poly.
Let's do it. We're getting along here, so let's talk about Cal Poly. What are your opening thoughts on this? My thoughts are initially looking at the stats. Cal Poly's awful. I mean, they are last in point differential, negative 139 points. They're last in yardage differential, negative 1,053 yards. They've only scored 66 points all season, and 28 of those came against San Diego. They haven't scored more than 14 points in the last 4 games. They're giving up 41 points a game, and they've only scored 9 touchdowns all year. And we're probably going to lose because I said all that. What do you think?
I don't have much thoughts on Cal Poly. I think it's cool that they have Bo Baldwin back in the helm. I think he's a good coach. He will eventually get this turned around. It's just some growing pains going from the triple option to Bo Baldwin's system. I'm glad we're not playing some weird flex defense or some weird offense that we have to prepare for.
No, glad we're not playing triple option.
Yeah. And I'm glad we're not playing in California. So it's another home game for us. And yeah, that's really it, man. You're right. We probably should beat Cal Poly. I hate making predictions. I don't like seeing that. It's just a little bit of a thing for me. They have, when I was doing a little bit of research on them, it seems like they have kind of a bit of a quarterback carousel. It seems like they're landed on a guy named Spencer Brash, who used to be a Cal Bear, and he's only a sophomore. So he's been doing okay. Like you said, they're really dead last in a lot of the categories that are very significant. Chris Coleman is their most productive receiver. He has 3 touchdowns this season. And then another guy that just stood out to me is a guy named Matt Shotwell, who is their linebacker, who's going to be the guy who does all the cleanup duty for them. He already has 47 tackles on the season.
He's got to be related to the other Shotwells who played at Cal Poly, right? Do you have his bio up? Because they had that Shotwell guy who won the Buck Buchanan Award back in the Creamer era.
Huh. It does ring a bell.
It's got to be a lineage there for sure. Can't be a son too soon, right? That's got to be too soon. You never know. Yeah, I mean, sure they have some playmakers. I think Brent Vigen in the press conference said today that they might, they're preparing for almost 5 quarterbacks. I think you mentioned that the Cal transfer, but I think he's hurt, possibly. I think he had been getting the reps. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's pretty hard to find some information on some of these teams sometime when you do this research. Not everyone has as much content or stuff out there as the Bobcats do. If you want to go find some articles on Cal Poly, and it's not always as easy as it could be for if you're playing a bigger time opponent. I mean, what are you expecting from this game? What are you hoping to see from the Bobcats? Let's frame it that way.
See, I guess that's what it feels like, just another game that feels a repeat of the last 4 games. I don't know. I think Montana State's been just blowing the competition out of the water, and rightfully so. It's been good because Montana State's been able to get a lot of backups in, and I really like how Vigen and company substitute. Chilton Company would just take all the starters out, and they would put the 2s in. And right now, I feel like Vigen kind of mixes the starters and the 2s together. I like that model a little bit better. So what I'm hoping to see is Montana State take an early lead, have the game in hand in the second quarter, and then by the third quarter, just substituting a lot of guys in, getting a lot of playing time, And so we're going into Weber having lots of reps for everybody ready to play.
I mean, that's really my number one point, and you hit the nail on the head there. I want to see our starters get as much rest as they possibly can for a short turnaround game on a Friday game, on a road game against a team that's coming off a bye week. So you want to keep the guys as fresh as you can. I don't care if we win this game 21-17. A win's going to be a win in the grand scheme of things. I mean, obviously you want to see improvement in a lot of the areas that we struggled with against Northern Colorado. No more miscommunications from whoever on the field. We had several of those against Northern Colorado. I just want to, execution better. I want to see us clean up some of those personal fouls, but mostly I just want to see, get those guys the rest that they need to be able to come down this stretch that starts next week with Weber State. So I don't like to be dismissive of opponents on this show, but I mean, I don't see how Cal Poly can really keep in striking distance of the Bobcats if things go the way that they're supposed to.
This feels like an end of the first season and then the start of the second season.
It does. It does. It's like this weird preseason where we had like the opening challenging game in Wyoming, and it's just kind of been a series of underwhelming, very outmatched opponents, and we'll see what the Bobcats are actually made of. And we talked about this, and we alluded to it earlier. We're going to talk about that. Are the Bobcats like paper tigers, and we haven't really played anybody? I know you've had some stats that you researched for this talking point, or you think we've is it too late now? This episode's going too long already, and you just want to shelve it.
I think I've given you all my important stats right now, so I don't have anything else to say on that.
I thought you had Bill Lamberty look up some information for your talking points.
Oh, yeah. So I do want to give Bill a shout out. Bill helped me out in a pinch today because I was wondering about, the upcoming stretch, and I'll be brief on this. Everybody knows the upcoming stretch for Montana State is just a ridiculous road challenge. We play Eastern, Weber, Montana, all on the road. And so it got me thinking. I was like, previous regime, how did we do? How were we against ranked teams? And so Bill got back to me, and under Jeff Choate, we were 8-12 against FCS ranked teams, and we were 1-8 against top 10 FCS teams.
Yeah. I mean, it's really not surprising. I mean, it's easy to sit there and remember how good we were in 2019, but those first 2 years were terrible. So it's like two different eras.
Yeah. So my big question is like, how are Vegan and company going to do when we come to these games? And my gut feeling, Ryan, is better. I like the preparation I've been seeing from Coach Vegan. And I just feel like he doesn't get too high. He doesn't get too low. And I think the team just follows that. And I think that's better overall. I think that's a winning like formula for us. Because really, honestly, when you get really high and you ride that momentum, you can crush teams. But then there's the lows that come with that. And then you get destroyed.
Yeah.
This middle average, man, I feel like that's where we're at.
We're much more consistent at the moment. And, this is kind of what we're talking about. Is it really fool's gold at this point? I'm really liking what I'm seeing, but we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. And that's really what it boils down to. There's been plenty of times in the past and under multiple different coaching staffs where we've struggled against a team like Northern Colorado or struggled against a team like Drake. I mean, we've been doing what we're supposed to be doing, and that's why we're a 10th ranked team right now, because we've been just blowing the doors off of overmatched opponents. We haven't been tested yet outside of obviously the FBS game is always kind of a toss away game, but that's coming up. But we can't overlook Cal Poly, and I'm hoping that we just come out and do what we need to do and take care of business and take down the Mustangs. All right. Well, I think that's all we have on Cal Poly. Any parting thoughts on the Mustangs? Mustang Sally?
Nope, none for me, buddy. I'm ready to get it going.
Can't
wait to watch again on Saturday. I love ball every Saturday. It feels so good. I
know. Football season, man. Never taking it for granted again after not having it last year. I will. I mean, never. Not that I ever do, but I'm extra enjoying it this year.
All right. Hey, let's get into these Golden Coolie questions. And then if we have some time, I'm going to sneak in some by ourselves.
We got to do some bold predictions.
prediction.
So we're talking about Cal Poly, I guess. Let's do the bold prediction because I assume the bold prediction's about Cal Poly. What's yours?
All right. I'm going to go first. I think Elliot and Afonso both go for over 100 one more time.
One more time. Okay. Oh, the way I think my bold prediction was going to be that the first team defense pitches a complete shutout. I think we're going to be subbing people left and right here, so I have to completely change my bold prediction. So, I got nothing. All right, I'm just gonna have to stick with it because I can't think of anything better. First team offense pitches a complete shutout, no field goals, no nothing. Zero points.
First team defense.
First team defense. I said offense, didn't I?
You did.
Yeah. You know what I mean. Listen to what I mean and not what I say, Foley.
I've picked up on that over the years.
All right. So those are our bold predictions. What was your bold? We didn't have bold predictions last week. We can't recap, did we? We completely forgot it last week. Wah, wah. Need a sound effect for that. Bleeding Blue, first Golden Coolie question. Let's kick it off. Of the 3 remaining home games, do we win any of them by less than 28? And if so, who? So we got Cal Poly coming up. We got Idaho State, and then we got Idaho. I'm going to say I don't think we beat Idaho by 28. We have a very good chance of beating Idaho State by 28. I have no idea if we will. I'm pretty sure we'll beat Cal Poly by 28. So Idaho, probably the only one who's going to be within that distance there.
I would agree with that. Depends, though. Idaho might have given up by then. Who knows? But Idaho has always been kind of a tough game for us. And they had a good game against UC Davis, so they might be on the up and up.
They always play well against games that they think are important. They don't play well against Northern Colorado.
Helena Cat 95 has one of my favorite questions. He said, which MSU coach, past or present, is most or least likely to break a clipboard and throw it?
Oh, that's Tim Cramsey, man. Cramsey would absolutely break a clipboard in half and throw it in the crowd.
Oh, man. I didn't even think of Cramsey. When I first got to school in 2001, we had a defensive line coach, the guy that got busted for meth. I can't remember his name.
Oh, geez. You going to go there? Yeah, that's where you're going to go with this question?
Oh, so when I first started going to school, when you and I first started going to school, no one went to the football games. And so I was always front and center, like 50-yard line right in front of the team. And I would watch this guy coach like Adam Cordero and company on the sidelines. And he was intense. Like I'm glad. Like, if you would have heard what he said, it would make you blush because it was terrible. But that guy would totally break a clipboard and throw it into the crowd. He was that guy was juiced all the time.
I think Ty Gregorak might be in the conversation there. Maybe a younger Ty Gregorak, maybe not the defense coordinator version of the Ty Gregorak, but I think a younger position coach would have. Bobcat fan 123. How much was Troy paid by the Rockin' R Bar to do that god awful commercial that they always play on the big screens on commercial breaks? Was he compensated enough to account for how much grief he must get from his teammates every time it's played? I don't know how much he's paid, but Troy Anderson, I don't think he cares. I don't think he cared how much he got paid. I don't care. I don't think he gets embarrassed. He's a guy who does things purposely to be comedic. He got that little Fu Manchu thing going this year. He's petting the stuffed Bobcat 2 years in a row on like his run out video thing. I think he's kind of a goofy guy who just does things to get laughs. And not that he did this to get laughs, but I'm saying if people are laughing at it, I don't think he cares one bit.
He has like this fifth quarter at the Rockin' R. I think that's his ad right there.
Hey, touchdown.
I've been wondering what that is. Like, do people just line up to shake his hand? Is he sending autographs to the R Bar?
No, he's not hanging out the R Bar.
I think he is. Like, he says, join me for the fifth quarter. I think he has the obligation to go to the R Bar.
Yeah, no, he's not there. We should have gone to the R Bar when we were in town afterwards and see Troy Anderson was there. I'm pretty sure he's not. Pretty sure
Or Troy was going to be here. Come on.
Where's Troy Anderson?
You guys are littering our Golden Coolie questions with a whole bunch of like just comments. All right, keep them to the
I'm
question.
trying to actually find a question. First one to find it was
All right, I got a good one. From Indy0479. How short does a DB need to be before you throw a jump ball to Jaden Smith in the end zone? Can I just say preach, brother? Because I've been waiting for that all season long. How short? 6 foot? Jaden Smith still's got 5 inches on him.
Every single cornerback in the league is the answer. They're all short enough. You should be throwing that jump ball up to Smith over anybody. Nobody's got anything over a 6'1" corner in the Big Sky. I doubt. Come on.
No.
It's hard to utilize that when McCutcheon's doing such a damn good job. So that's all I gotta say. Good question though. I want to see it more. It seems like an obvious play. All right, Teton Cat's got several questions. Do you want to pick one?
I'm just trying to weed through all the replies to all these.
Teton Cat asked us, was the hit on the punt return attempt by Willie Patterson the dirtiest play you've ever seen against the Cats? I mean, nothing else comes to mind. Nothing else really is just jumping out to me as a dirty play. It was terrible. So I'll say yes, just because nothing else is coming up to my mind. But that was terrible.
Yeah, no comment.
You should be ashamed of that. How do you look yourself in the mirror?
Was Hardy's hit on the kickoff the best hit of the game?
Yeah. Every game, man. Every game, Hardy on kickoff coverage just murder somebody. This is the best one yet. He just killed that guy. I love it, man. I don't know how much I love having your starting defensive end on kickoff coverage, but he's laying out people, so it's working. But I just don't want him to get hurt out there. But yeah, that was the best hit of the game.
All right, Thorny, we got to pick one to send a Golden Coolie for. I think I know.
We got more questions.
All right, tell me.
We got one more. He said it might be too late to make it on the podcast, but here goes. Joe Bobcat asks us, next week's game against Weber State is on Friday night, which gives us a short time to prepare. What changes to the normal schedule do you make, and when do you travel down to Ogden? I mean, so
when was the last time we played Weber in Bobcat Stadium?
Yeah, it feels like it's been a while. I mean, that's all I really want to do with the change of the schedule is just make it so that you're rotating every year. That you're not going to the same venue 2 times in a row, whether that's over a span of 3 years or 4 years, just that you don't have 2 straight trips to one area. It should always be back and forth, even if you don't play them for 3 years. Like you play them in 2017 in Ogden, 2022 should be in Bozeman. I know it's not that simple, but that's the only change I have. It sucks that they have a bye week before the Friday game, so I think that's kind of crappy. We talked about that, but as far as changes go, I'm not even going to pretend to know the ins and outs of scheduling. I wouldn't want that job in a 13-team conference.
All right, Tony. I'm going to pick Indy 0479. That guy's given us a couple questions over the last couple weeks, and I know he doesn't have a Golden Coolie, so I'm going to send him the Golden Coolie. Attaboy. Woo! All right. Indy 0479. One of the weirdest names out there, but that is a good question. I think you were pandering to me, man. You know I have a Jaden Smith soft spot in my heart.
All right. Let's get out of this mother here. Thanks for listening, everyone. Like Ryan said, it's only gotten better this year. People interact with us more. It's been totally awesome. Find us on Twitter, our CatCast. That's the best place to interact with us. Good thing we're not on Facebook or Instagram really at all because those both went away for half the day. Twitter's where it's at. You can find us on Bobcat Nation. We got the Golden Coolie thread. We also have our recurring R&R CatCast thread where I post updates to the episodes and all that. And thanks again to Jeremiah Johnson for being our sponsor. And let's get out of here with the Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.